What's up, Pirates? Ray Talks here with Awaken TCG, and today we have a little reaction video. We're going to be reacting to Egmans. I think he goes over like the top 8 decks and shows off the top 32 of the recent Coretcg online regional that had 1,024 players post restriction. And so we're just going to go ahead and get into this right now. I will leave a link to his video in the description, so you guys should go subscribe to him as well. So let's see what he has here
for that.
Okay.
And if
so, let's just break down. Let me move my camera. Let's go ahead and break down the top 32 leaders real quick. So top 32, we had 10 Newgates, 8 Zorro, 4 Dofi, 3 Law, 2 Katakuri, 2 Captain Kid, Eustace, Captain Kid, 1 Kinemon, 1 Smoker, 1 Kuro, which is very interesting because the totals, as we can see, we have 277 Zorros. So you would think that you would see at least Zorro being the number 1 leader in top 32, which is obviously not the case. And then for Newgate, we only have 69 Newgates out of 1,024 people, and 10 of them managed to get into the top 32. So those numbers are a little too good to be true, in my opinion. You know, did we all expect Newgate to be, as you can see here, first place? Garrett Farrington, congratulations to him. He won with Edward Newgate. The Strawbeard white beard deck is just, you know, just as powerful, if not even more, post restriction. And so, you know, something that I want to think about is like, do we just ban this Newgate moving forward? Obviously, we're not to wait and see. More tournaments coming up. If Whitebeard continues to be first place, I mean, we can definitely say that, you know, the leader needs to be banned. I mean, 6K life, 6K power, 6 life is just too much. It's too much to overcome, I think, for most decks. And obviously, the other quote-unquote best deck would be Zorro currently. And, you know, Zorro versus Whitebeard, I think Zorro definitely loses that matchup. And so, you know, I guess we're going to see. Let's jump right into the top 8 decks and see what he thinks about them.
Garrett's from Team Worst Generation. So a really, really good list in the sense of just a whole lot of variety. You're going to see, normally when I do deck lists, they only take up like the 2 lines here. So having all 3 means something. Of course, there are some alt arts for it, but we do have like a good amount of 1-drops. We have Tony Chopper. So we have some Fossa blockers, which are important since we don't have as many Marcos. We can only run 1 of him now. We also have some Sanji since we're playing Nami. So it's kind of like the Straw Hat version, Sanji, which I think a lot of the Newgates did kind of just gravitate to the Straw Beard version, which was the popular version, at least at like the launch of set 2. And I don't think you really lost anything besides the, you know, not having the Marco Rad Beams and Newgates at, you know, the 4 or so you wanted is a little bit upsetting. But I know not everyone was playing Newgate, and even the blocker Marco.
Yeah, I think the only difference now without the 4 Whitebeards, 4 blockers, 4 Rad Beams is your defense suffers a little bit. But I think this deck is just already so strong from the power aspect of the 6,000 on the leader that you can get away with not having as strong of a late game, because you're mid to late game when you're dropping, you know, on curve Thatch, you're dropping Ace, clearing board relatively easy. It makes it super easy for you to have a, you know, a smooth ride into the late game, to just be able to do some quick math and just always win out your opponent. You know, they might, you know, attack with extra Dawn, or you notice something and you just, you know, play around it, and it makes it super easy because your opponent has to dedicate so much Dawn already to hit that 6,000 mark. And it's just, I don't know, this deck
was a decision point at times. So there is that.
Obviously
also running
reason,
the Nico Robbins, some Jozus, and then the Atmos. Not running the King Du, but going into 2 copies of Thatch. The 5-drop Luffy, which is still a fantastic card. It does sneak in a lot of wins at times. And then Newgate itself. And then we do have a more creative kind of event layout than I see a lot of other people. So 1 Rad Beam, but also 4 guard points. 1 of the Gum Red Hawk, as well as the Crossfire. So if your leader has Whitebeard Pirates and its types, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 4K power during this turn. And this is main and or counter. So it's only on characters, not for leaders, but being able to use this to get something in the range for either Nico Robin, which can be very strong, or also like Ace. And then with Marco, I guess Marco, I guess, think is the better one. We're only running 2 of this guy, but for 7 Dawn, we're able to pop something with essentially 7k or less, which is great for that.
Yeah,
and
nice
you really don't really mind running these 2 card combos in these decks, just because you do know that you're going to have a really big hand size by like turn 3. So anyways, I don't have a lot more to say. Congratulations to Garrett. It was the finals.
Let's go ahead and move on. So
next up, we do have,
we're looking at Zorro. This is our classic Gordon style.
Our topping list. So these ones are 9-1. We had 2 Zorros in the 9-1 standings. So this is Stanley Chen's build as well as Deep Patel's list here. And I do want to mention both of them just because
this is
I
the
think they are built a little bit differently. Also, Deep Patel did win the PPG regionals the week before. So, the Play TCG regionals the week before. So that is kind of, I think, impactful for this.
Fun fact, I had a verse, Deep Patel. He got he went 10th place, top 8. He went top 8, I think. He went 9-1 in this tournament, but like as Egman was talking about, he won 2 weeks ago for the Play TCG online regional. I had to verse him round 3. I was undefeated. He was undefeated, and I actually have that video up on my channel right now. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out. It was a close match, but Deep Patel is a really good player.
Kind of similar to this list. He did make some differences.
This is the list he was running, this Nami package.
We're going to start off with Stanley's list.
This is what I was running
here, which I think is just
your
more
Gordons,
or less the same deck that a lot of people were running with Zorro, just with some changes on ratios. So obviously we can't run 4 of the Rad Beams. We're only running 1, 4 guard points. We're adding 4 whole copies of Fire Fist, which I know a lot of people are worried. It is a really great removal card in a lot of ways, and with cards like Otama, it can be, instead of like, a 5 and 4, it can be a 6 and 5,
I like the 4
or
Fire
7
Fist,
and 4.
especially in matchups
so those are
Law.
some really good.
You got to see one
DP numbers to try to get rid of cards and get some board clear. So getting that momentum is really nice, and then kind of like more 1-drop cards. We also have Gordon to help you get into the Fire Fist range as well. You do have to be a little bit worried, since there can be a lot of cards that are just kind of dead in hand at the same time, since you are running all these Rad Beam, Whitebeard Pirates, guard points, and Fire Fist. Mostly just Fire Fist. I think 4 can be chunky, but it did get you top 8 in this event, so that's pretty strong there. And then just kind of everything else. So Gordon, Buggies, Curly to Dawn, Josu's, Zorro's. You're 1 of Marco, you're 1 of Newgate, and 4 of the 5-drop Marco. So there's Stanley's list. And then for Deep, I'd say more of like the low to the ground version. It is running like the Haruta, which is a very, very strong.
So this is the non-event version
for this deck, being able to. It is a Whitebeard's pirate, but also just the fact that you can get like the Dawn under your leader for free every turn helps you out there. Not running any like the.
Personally, I think this list did worse in this tournament, but not being able to save your Marcos if it gets popped by something is crucial. I personally think this list is a little worse than the other list. This list probably has its better matchups, but also probably will have its fair share of worse matchups. Since it's lower to the ground. But we're going to go ahead and skip here. We're going to go Coretcg.
I know a lot of people said that Yellow was going to kind of take off with this new restriction list. I wasn't really on board for that one. I thought that Yellow was definitely, like, Yellow can win a lot of matchups. I think Trafalgar Law is a pretty tough one, and honestly, Trafalgar Law didn't do as well as I thought it would for this format either. But sometimes Yellow does get the good cards in their life, and they do get to take off with it. But sometimes you get clunky. Sometimes you just have 3 Linlins in your hand, and you can't really do anything with it. You don't see your Shirahoshi to kind of cycle more.
I mean, people nickname this deck Casino Curry for a reason.
Fizzle out. You just don't have that end game momentum for it. So this is Austin's list. And also, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see 7-drop or the Star Deck Linlin get in the top 32, because I know a good amount of people were on it, but I'll just go back to I'll digress for this one. So both these lists are pretty similar. There's also John Wynn's version here. Some minor differences. Honestly, we can't get too much changes going on just because the card pool is what it is. Mm-hmm. But you'll see like the low end is pretty much all the same of 4 of all of these cards. And then some decision points of Wood Vanilla. So we saw that Austin preferred the 3-drop Peckhams, which I definitely like, just because we do have to go first sometimes, and we're not going to see Parasparrow every time. And then on the other side, we do have John deciding not for that, going straight into the Cracker, the Smoothie, and also the 2-drop Katakuri, 2 of the 4-drop Katakuri from the Star deck, which I like in Linlin, but I don't like in the actual Katakuri.
The yellow decks Dexter
you don't,
standard, like you're
it's just a
saying.
little bit harder for you to
You
get this
can't
out
you
of
can't
hand,
really
and
like
it can be kind of clunky. But I do.
optimize a yellow deck to be that different, right? The list has to be similar. If you really want it to do well, your ratios have to be similar. I think next set, obviously, yellow gets a good upgrade, and then you can start making a little bit of changes here and there. But right now, these two lists very similar. One opted to run the Pecoms, extra 3-drop curve unit, and then this list runs, 2 Baron Tamagos, 2 Katakuris, 2 Smoothie, 4 Cracker. That's 10 4-drops. Opting for that turn 2 curve, really hoping on that dice roll win.
Approve of the app.
Yeah, let's go ahead. This is the one I'm excited for. So this is a Kinemon. If anyone knows me, they know that for set 2 of One Piece, I was a Kinemon player. I think my best placing was a top 21st. I got 21st place at a Treasure Cup. I think it was my only tournament that I got into for set 2, which was kind of a bummer. I wish I got into more of them. I really wasn't on top of the signups, but I'm really interested in seeing what he has to say about this list, because I think this is a very basic list. I guess just knowing matchups inside and out, it's gonna
this
propel
has
you
got
to
me
a
a bit
top 8 finish.
perplexed on the card pool and like the leader choice. If I was shown this deck list and I was not shown the leader, I would probably say, oh, this is just Supernova version of what Eustace Kid, and I would not immediately think that Kinemon is the leader. I guess, or Odin, right? I guess those are like the 3 that could be mostly, but I'm like, what are the advantage you get for Kinemon, especially since we're not running the super high end. But I think it must be like the additions of this leader effect is still pretty good for getting some good tempo plays. So for example, you can still get Okiku on turn 1 if you go second, which is strong, and I think it does trade into a lot of like the Zorro and Law matchups, very strong. So I do like that. You do have to be careful with this deck because there is a lot of cards with Slash, though, so Buggy can be very obnoxious.
Yeah.
But then we also have like the Izo and the Raizo as well, just to get that early advantage. We have Yamato, which we can play for 4, or the other Yamato, which we can play for 3, which is quite nice. Just the instant, resting of a card is great. And then our top end is 2 Trafalgar Laws, 3 of the Krieg, as well as the Captain Kid. So I will still say that this deck, like this card, can win games all by itself still. I think some decks just don't have a way, and if I guess Newgate's still around, just literally like being able to play this card and buying a turn is very good. I will say that there's not a lot of blockers in this build, only 2 Laws, 4 Killers, and 3 Beige, so it's not maybe as protected as it could be, but is strong. And then also the Punk Gibson for like really good defensive options there. So this is the list again. Very interesting that Kinemon is the leader. I do see that it is strong for like your early game setup, which I think can help you against Law and Zorro.
I was thinking the same thing.
So
it's
I think it could be a meta pick for that.
Everyone knows green.
I have to try it out. It's a very
it's not the best,
call,
although Film Kid is still strong.
Congratulations to Andres for their finish.
Besides that, the green Kinemon is just not it. It's not what it used to be. I don't know if it'll ever get back to what it used to be in set 2. In set 2, I would say it was a top 5 deck. Super easy to, not easy, but like you had an easier time doing well with it versus where the meta is at currently. Obviously, it didn't get no support cards or nearly as much as other colors such as red. But, I'm going to try this deck out, maybe play it in a Treasure Cup. I have a Treasure Cup coming up Friday and another online regional on Sunday. We'll see if I stick to Zorro. Maybe I'll try Kinemon Treasure Cup, and then if it goes well, we'll continue that into the weekend, or maybe we'll just switch back to Zorro. We'll see. But now we have a law
Next
list.
up we have Trafalgar Law, and as you guys know, there are a bunch.
I'll just go ahead and talk over this one. So this law list is, the classic non-Brook version, no Captain Kid, no ACOS. It's just, your bread and butter law deck, Nothing fancy, but when you high roll this deck, you're still Law, right? So it's like you get Dadan Nami. You're set up to Shambles turn 2 if you go second. It's just, your turn 3 hits, you start doing your Law stuff, right? You put down Bonnie, you search, you find a Law, you get Law back, you pick back up a red card, maybe a Nami, place the Law, pick the Bonnie back up. Then you can choose. You could draw. You can put a Zorro. You can, drop anything. And just this leader effect just has too much value for it to never be, a top placer. I think 4 life is good. Obviously, it's a dual color. Maybe Whitebeard needs to have 5 life instead of 6. Maybe the 6 life is too much. But yeah, this is a simple law list. Nothing special here. It's not running the Brook version. It's not running a cost kid. It's just cookie cutter, sticking to what it does best. And then we're going to go
for this event. I know a lot of people are very dedicated to the deck as well. We only technically got one new card in this set, which is 3,000 Worlds, which is a very strong card, though. Very good against, I think, a lot of decks, including Trafalgar Law. It says place up to one of your character with the cost of 5 or less the bottom owner's deck, and then 3 or less for the trigger, which I wish it was 4. I don't know. Like 3... I don't think it'd be broken with 4, but I digress there. There's just a lot of cards that cost 5 that generally get out of most removal, but 3,000 Worlds is fantastic. It goes to bottom deck as well, which means that it's harder for you to... so there's no like on KO effects.
A set 2 list with 3,000 Worlds.
I won't say that there's a lot of variety in what the deck building looks like for this deck, but I have personally been running a deck that's like 90% similar to this one. I think just kind of different ratios on like gym bays and the events and stuff. And I think the only other like new card was the Gum Gum event card I've been running, just to help you get rid of like some dead cards in hand, potentially turn them into 1K counters. But I think this deck is strong. I think that the amount of tempo and value you can get is good. You are a little bit dependent on finding the Mihawk kind of on curve. Mihawk on curve, I think, correlates to a very high win percentage afterwards.
I agree.
It is a deck that also wants to go first in a meta where most decks want to go second, and I think that's also strong for it in general. So this is the list here for Richie. There's a couple others, and congratulations to all of them there. So next up we have Dexter with our only smoker and the only representation of black in this top 32.
Yeah. So that's a great point. No Rob Lucci in the top 32. Where are we at? 15 minutes. No Rob Lucci in the top 32. There was 126 total Rob Luccis for the whole event out of 1,000 players, and 0 were in top 32. But there was one smoker. So let's go ahead and look at the list.
We're going to smoke it a little bit. I've been such a sucker to be trying the CP9 stuff and everything, and I really do like the fact that Kaku works really well with the smoky layer for this effect. But honestly, it looks like the regular Navy archetype is still just fantastic.
This is like this is like your set 2 smoker list just added with the new cards. You have Isho in there, which is insane. On curve, when your opponent has 6 cards or more, you trash 2 is an insane play, because now you develop the 9K body on board. Not only do you get his effect for next turn, where you can minus 3 cost to every character on your opponent's board, you also trash 2 of their cards. So it's an insane value play, being able to Isho and, having them trash 2 cards. But yeah, nothing special with this list here. I like the smokers, the 5-drop smoker double attack here. Obviously, a lot of decks are low to the ground. You're, for the most part, always having someone at 0, especially with smoker ability. You can get someone to 0 easily. A lot of removal. You have your Kobe, you have your Monkey D. Garp in here, the 2K. A lot of ways to, 2 Meteor Volcanoes. Surus for combo plays, Tashigi for combo plays. This is just a nice removal deck. You high roll, you're looking like you're going to win. You're going to have an easy time. Not much to say about this smoker list here. Props to him for being the only black representation in top 32. And then, obviously, we'll end it off with this one. So we'll go here first. So this is just Film Kid, your classic Film Kid list. Nothing special. Still very, very good. The only issue is 4 Bardos, right? Film Kid, you want to run 4 Bardos. Obviously, 2 is the minimum, but you really want 4 if you want to do well. And those cards are very expensive. So anyone new trying to play this deck is, it's looking like you're not the, spend some good money for those Bardos, because those are event cards, and they haven't dropped in price for a while now. And so this is the last list we're going to go ahead and look at today. Is going to be the Kuro list. I'm most interested to watch.
We saw a lot of their matches on this one. I also
was Will to Win
34th place. Was
Will
also
to Win
Kuro with Maybet
Kuro list.
So congratulations to both of them doing just super well, going X2 with Kuro, which...
Yeah, so I believe he lost to 2 Katakuris in the later stages, back-to-back as well, so it's very unfortunate. This deck probably does struggle against Katakuri and probably Whitebeard because they don't go wide. You know, they drop they drop big units, a few but big units. And so here, what you want is you want your opponent to play wide, such as Zorro, such as Law, for you to really control the tempo, right? You have Jin, double rest. You have the Butchie sham play, you know, things like that where you can really control the board, control your opponent's board state, make sure, you know, they're playing on your time, you're controlling tempo. And so, yeah, he lost to 2 Katakuris, but I think this deck is very interesting. I see 10 2Ks, which is about standard, right? And you anywhere from 9 to 12, 2Ks is okay. Some decks run 8. I think, you know, 8 is on the lower end, but some decks can make it work, especially if they're more aggressive. We have the Izos, yep, the Kurobis for trigger, Shambuchi combo Jin Law for, I guess you can pick up Nami back up and then play like a Shambuchi. You can play a blocker. You can even Izo, and then Django for the leader restands, and you get a 6K body. I don't think you're ever using the rest effect on the Django. Craig, self-explanatory. Beautiful card to use when your opponent, you know, plays an aggressive turn, has 2 4-drops or lower on board. Rested, you play Craig, discard 1 card, boom, you blow 2 characters up. And then Punk Gibson, really strong event. Hard to play around. Make sure your opponent play their turns out a lot differently than, you know, sometimes they would like. So obviously you run a 4 of here, and I think that is gonna wrap it up. Good variety in the top 8. Let me see. So top 8 we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's not top 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had four different types of decks in top 8. It looks like we had 1, 2, 3, 4 new gates in top 8, which is kind of concerning. I'm gonna be honest. We see 2 Zorros, 2 Katakuris. Oh no, 1 Zorro. We see 1 Zorro, 2 Katakuris, 4 new gates, 1 Kinemon. Very concerning. Top 3 all new gates with the best scores. I don't know where the meta goes from here. Maybe we'll see this upcoming weekend at Gen Con a lot of anti-Whitebeard tech. I'm not really too sure. But anyways, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. We are at the end. So make sure to like this video, subscribe, and comment down below what you think about this tournament. And make sure to go subscribe to Eggman. Link will be down in the description below. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.